In this video, we will learn how to explain the trade war between US and China using game theory. So let's take a payoff matrix. For two countries, we have US and China, and both the countries have two strategies, either to opt for free trade or to impose tariff. Okay, so the red color elements or the first elements in each of the cell shows the payoff for US, while as the second elements in each of the cell show the payoff for China when she imposes or opts for a specific strategy. Here we have only two strategies, either to opt for free trade or to choose tariff. Okay, so this is our payoff matrix. Now let us visualize or analyze this payoff matrix. Let's take the first column. Okay, so let's take the first cell here. Okay, so in the first cell, what happens? US opts for free trade, China opts for free trade, and both get a payoff of 100, magenta 100 and 100. That is when both opt for free trade and free trade. Okay, so if both countries opt for free trade, what happens? Trade flows remain stable, economic conditions remain healthy, and there is no uncertainty in the global economy. Okay, this explains the first cell. Now let's come to the second cell. So we have 80 and 110. So in this case, US opts for free trade, China opts for tariff. Okay, so the second is free trade and tariff. So how do we explain this? Now, and in this case, you can see both get a payoff of 100 and 100 when both choose free trade as their strategy. However, if US keeps free trade, okay, and China imposes tariff, then China gains an advantage by protecting its domestic industries. Okay, you know that when a specific country imposes tariff, its domestic industries get a better advantage. Okay, because the foreign importers or the importers price increases compared to the domestic industries who produce the same product. Okay, so let me explain it again. So if US keeps free trade and China imposes tariff, then China gains an advantage by protecting its domestic industries. Therefore, its payoff increases to 110. But what happens to US? While as US suffers from the reduced exports. Okay, obviously if if China imposes tariff, USA's export to China will decrease, or its exports will decrease, causing its payoff to reduce from 100 to 80. Okay, the reverse is also true. If if US imposes tariff and China opts for free trade, in that case, what happens? US's payoff will increase to 110. We are talking about the third cell here. Okay, so 110 and 80. So in this case, what happens? If China opts for free trade and US opts for tariff, here you can see that China's payoff will decrease because of the reduced export, and the payoff of US will increase because its domestic industries get some sort of protection. Okay, this explains the third cell. Now let us come to the fourth cell, where we have, so here we have tariff and free trade. In the in the last cell, we have tariff and tariff. So if both countries impose tariff, a trade war erupts, and by this it damages both the countries and reducing their payoff to 80. Here we have 90. Okay, so if both choose tariff and tariff, their payoff reduces to 90 both get a payoff of 90, so damaging both the countries. Okay, now here we have, you can see that and here we can see imposing tariff is a dominant strategy for both the countries. That means whatever other country chooses, let us say in this case whatever China chooses, either to go for free trade or tariff, US has more advantage in imposing tariff, and same is true for China. Whatever US does, imposing tariff is a best or better strategy for China. Okay, so here you can see these red color elements dominate, these red color elements. That means 100 is greater than 80, 110 is greater than 90. So how do I explain the dominant strategy? That is, imposing tariff is a dominant strategy for both the countries in this case. So I don't need to explain the dominant strategy further. I hope you get here. So whatever China does here, imposing tariff is a better strategy for US. Similarly, for whatever US does, imposing tariff is a dominant strategy for China. Okay. Now, is there any equilibrium in this game? Let's find out. Okay, so let's find out whether this game has Nash equilibrium. Okay, so what is Nash equilibrium? It is a situation where each player chooses its optimal strategy, it is best strategy, given the other player has also chosen its best strategy. Okay, so there is no unilateral advantage in deviating from that very strategy. So let us take, if US imposes tariff, sorry, if US imposes free trade, China has two options, either to go for free trade or tariff. Free trade gives him a payoff of 100, tariff gives him a payoff of 110. Obviously 110 is greater than 100. Let us underline this here. Okay, similarly, if US imposes tariff, China has two options, either to go for free trade or for tariff. So obviously 80 is less than 90, that means China will opt for tariff. Okay, here you can see this column dominates this column. So we underline that very number where we get higher payoff. Okay, now let us see in context of China. If China opts for free trade, US has two options, either to go for free trade or to impose tariff. Here you can see going for free trade gives him 100 as a payoff, going for tariff gives him 110. Obviously 110 is greater than 100. Let's underline this. Now symmetrically, likewise, if China imposes tariff, again US has two options, either to go for free trade or tariff. Tariff gives him 90 as payoff, free trade gives him a payoff of 80. So let's underline this. So where is the Nash equilibrium? Nash equilibrium in this case is in that very cell where both the numbers are underlined or encircled. Here you can see for this game Nash equilibrium will be, so Nash equilibrium will be tariff and tariff, to impose tariff. Okay, now if you can see here, is this imposing tariff and tariff a better choice for both the countries? No, you can see here, if both opt for free trade, they would have been both better off. Okay, that means Nash equilibrium is not Pareto efficient. What is Pareto efficient? It's a situation where no player can be made better off without making other person worse off. So both countries would have improved if both would have chosen to go for free trade, because you can see 100 they get both if they choose free trade, but if they opt for this trade war, both lose. the payoff compared to the free trade. Okay, so this is not Pareto efficient. If both US and China agreed to free trade, both would have been better off. Now, why does this happen? It happens because the lack of trust and the fear of unilateral disadvantage drives both to impose tariff. Okay, so here is a case. So for this tit for tat strategy, why it happens? It does not happen because it is irrational for both the countries. No, irrationality is not here. It is because of the miscalculations. Okay, because they miscalculate that if one party chooses tariff, other party would not choose tariff as their retaliatory response. Okay, so that's why when Trump imposed a tariff, China and other countries reciprocated or retaliated, leading to full-scale trade war, harming the global trade. And you can see multiple stock markets went down when Trump imposed the tariff on China. Okay, so basically what happens, what is the solution for this? If both US and China would have opted for free trade, or what is the solution that there should have not been a trade war? So one thing is, if both cooperate, okay, mutual cooperation. Okay, so if this game is repeated multiple times, both countries would realize that the short-term gains from imposing tariffs could lead to long-term losses from retaliations. Okay, so this can be one of the possible solutions for removing the what we call this trade war. And another option can be that the international institutions like World Trade Organization become a mediator in facilitating the trade agreements between US and China. Okay, so first thing is, if both US and China go for the mutual cooperation or do some bilateral agreements, thereby opting for free trade, both would have been better off. Okay, so I have explained Nash equilibrium is not Pareto efficient. Okay, so Pareto superior happens here, that is if both countries would have chosen free trade, but it is because the lack of the trust and the fear of the disadvantage that drives both to impose the tariffs. Okay, this is a typical prisoner's dilemma situation. Okay, I hope I make myself clear in this video and you find out this video helpful. Okay, I am making these videos free of cost for you. Okay, I don't charge a single penny for my lectures. So my strategy or my endeavor is always to make myself more useful. So it's my privilege if I can make some value addition for the society. Okay, so my only motivation would be if you subscribe, share, comment, and give your valuable feedback on this channel. Hope you all are fine. Thank you.